What is up, girls and boys? What's up, internet? I am Bianca and welcome to the Sunnyside Game Mechanics and Features video numero 5. So, like I've promised in the previous video, today we'll be talking about the villagers of Sunnyside, though the main focus is going to be on the ones we haven't met in the Influencer Alpha. To date, there are 27 villagers in Sunnyside's full release. Right now, in the Influencer Alpha, we've only encountered 7 of them. Gabriel and Lucy, Kat and Nathalie, Sako, Hiro, and Kazuki. So I'm just going to go over these 7 characters really quick. Gabriel Reed is, of course, the one who helps us out at the beginning of the game, and he owns the ranch next to our homestead. Lucy is his shy daughter who is into photography. Catherine and Natalie are the Takahashi sisters, with Natalie being portrayed as the more responsible one and Kat as the one who gallivants around doing nothing but painting, which is her passion, by the way. Kat is the friendlier of the two though. After all, she was the one who helped us with our farming and gave us recipes and the Sunny Seed app, while Natalie is someone who is very hard to please. Sako Uchida, of course, is the old woman who owns the grocery store, and Hiro is the techie dude who owns the tech store right across from her, while Kazuki Ishikawa is our resident blacksmith. From these 7, there are 5 who are romanceable. There's Gabriel, Hiro, Kat, Natalie, and Lucy. From that, we still have 20 more characters to meet for now. So let's start off with the other romanceable options in the game and the descriptions for these characters that are straight up from Rainy Games themselves, which is all we have for the moment. But anyways, first up is Kyle Sylvester. Kyle is the town mechanic who also maintains the town harbor. He's a bit of a loner with a troubled past, and while he means well, he doesn't always quite make the best decisions. Next, we have Josh NEWCOMB. Josh runs the town bar. He's a gentle but free spirit who believes in experiencing everything life has to offer. His warm smile and open heart makes him an excellent bartender and friend. Then we have Ryan MEZACOO. Ryan is an adjunct professor of photography at the university. He's been in Sunnyside for a few years now and is actually the one who inspired Lucy to pick up the skill and even gifted her her very first camera. Following Ryan is Alan RITZ, who is a former competitive runner often found hiking and running around Sunnyside and its surrounding countryside. He and Josh are great friends. He loves a good burger. He is also an American. Kicking up our first female character who isn't in the Influencer Alpha is ANAHITA. ANAHITA Watanabe is the daughter of Shari, a Persian woman who sought refuge in Japan during a time of political upheaval in her home country, and Sora, Sunnyside's very dedicated gardener. ANAHITA is highly intelligent and works as a research assistant at the local university's research station in Sunnyside. She loves puzzles, is very honest, hates small talk, and always forgets where she left her lab coat. Following ANAHITA is her younger brother PARSA. He works at his parents' garden center and is a talented martial artist who is training hard and saving up to teach his unique fighting style in his own martial arts dojo someday. He knows he's not nearly ready to be a sensei just yet, so he's in no rush. He's just taking it one day at a time until he reaches his goals. He is super friendly and loves dance music. Then we have Stephanie OBENG. Stephanie is FUYUKAZE's younger sister, a former soccer player who is currently pursuing a business degree at the local university. She recently picked up knife throwing as a hobby, loves going on long runs through the park, and absolutely loves a good challenge. Speaking of Fuyukaze, he is also a romanceable NPC born and raised in New Jersey. He didn't move to Japan until he was about 10 years old. It took some time for him to adjust to the new schools and new people, and even longer to learn Japanese. He was never really popular, nor was he exactly an outcast. He just kind of always floated in the middle of the school social hierarchy, never being super passionate about anything. He does enjoy music though, a gift he shares with his mother, and hopes that it will be enough to carve out a simple and happy life in Sunnyside. Did anyone call a doctor? Because that's what our next character is. Mayumi Okada is the town's lead physician. She has lived in Sunnyside for about 6 of her 38 years and likes to do yoga in the park every morning. She is a strong-willed woman who likes chocolate, practical jokes, and has a cat named Hepburn who lives at the clinic. Next up is Kazuki and Chiyo's granddaughter, Hanako Ishikawa. Hanako is a medical student working at Mayumi's clinic. She grew up in the city and doesn't quite like living in Sunnyside as much as the rest of its residents. She's easily bored, likes trying new things, and generally has her nose buried in her cell phone and hides behind the screen name Hanako. Blake Ortiz is Hanako's friend. They have been friends ever since Hanako stayed with Blake on a study abroad trip when they were both in high school. A California native, Blake moved to Japan a few years ago to chase a medical degree and is now serving out her residency with Hanako under Mayumi's watchful eye. Blake is kind and soft-spoken, loves Mexican soap operas, growing succulents, and geocaching in her spare time. Next up, we have the oldest of the romanceable men, YUMMA Shibata. YUMMA is the owner/operator of Sunnyside's grain mill, which has been passed down through his family for generations. A gregarious, dedicated small-town man, YUMMA has been determined to honor his family's legacy since the day he took over the business. But that loyalty didn't come without cost. YUMMA is a bit of a jokester, well-loved by everyone in town, collects records, and enjoys the smell of fresh baked bread. KAIDA AMAYA is the only daughter of the shrine caretakers in the city. KAIDA left home to take on the responsibility of her own shrine in Sunnyside, much to the disappointment of her mother. She's been in Sunnyside for about 3 years now, and while she is friendly with the residents, she's also very quiet and observant. The people of Sunnyside still aren't quite sure if she can be trusted with their ancient kami just yet. KAIDA hates lots of noise, loves chocolate cake, and can often be found working at the shrine or in the Sunnyside bats or people watching around town. Next up, hailing from London, is Melody Barrett, who moved to Japan on a whim with her boyfriend about 10 years ago. Many life lessons, a breakup, lots of hard work, citizenship, and one beautician certification later, Melody finally landed in Sunnyside 8 years ago and never looked back. She loves good gossip, fashion trends, and perfecting her art as a hairstylist. She misses the food back home though, but could never leave the friends she's made behind. RYOZO cares deeply for the planet and its longevity, so he has dedicated his life to protecting it in his own special way, by creating eco-friendly weed and pest management systems that protect biodiversity. He is incredibly passionate and sometimes a bit narrowly focused on his goals, often driven by a very intense moral compass. He is talkative, albeit a bit awkward, and can often be found around the forest collecting samples or volunteering his time to organizations in the city. He loves milk bread, reading, and spending time outside. The last romanceable female option in the game is YUKIO Yamaguchi. A true extrovert, she is always bouncing around and looking for ways to use up her energy. YUKIO is not a native to Sunnyside and only moved to town about 12 years ago when she married into the family that owns and operates the local post office. Though the marriage didn't quite work out, she still has to work with her ex-husband HIDEO on a daily basis, and it doesn't always go so well. She is direct and honest, loves the video games and hanging out with friends, and is always down for some junk food. We also have Hideo Yamaguchi himself, whose family has a long history in Sunnyside despite not actually growing up there himself. He moved to town when his grandparents, longtime family owners of the Sunnyside's postal office since the town was first established during the Edo period, sadly passed away. Hideo's mother had left Sunnyside when she was young and had no interest in continuing the family post, so she left it to her son. Hideo is a very serious person and believes that anything worth doing is worth doing right. He loves a good debate, is a meticulous groomer, and wants nothing more than to be respected for his ideas and opinions. He's also charismatic, loves fresh strawberries in spring, and his prized possession is a gold watch his father gave him when he graduated university. Then we have Hina's son, Sebastian Nakamura, who dutifully runs his mother's cafe in Sunnyside. He is one of the few younger people in Sunnyside who was actually born and raised in town. He had a fairly happy childhood from what he can remember and has always aspired to become a writer someday, even going so far as to chase his dreams at a university in Tokyo with a very prestigious writing program. He left those dreams behind just before his second year, however, when his mother was diagnosed with scleroderma, a disease that severely impacted her business and marriage. Now at 20, Seb is doing his best to help keep his mother's restaurant open, though her strong personality and his aloof nature don't always mix so well. And lastly, Xander Wyatt. A former member of the United States Navy, Xander moved to Sunnyside when his parents died suddenly in a car accident just weeks after his contract ended. Completely lost and unsure of what to do with his life, Xander decided to travel the Japanese countryside on his own for a while. During that time, he stumbled upon Sunnyside and simply never left. He now works with YUMMA at the mill near the lake and has settled in quite nicely over the last year. He is a bit intimidating looking, so most of the residents give him lots of space, which he doesn't mind at all. So yeah, holy smokes, does this game have a lot of romanceable NPCs. And I dare say it's like a majority of the villagers are romanceable, which is just crazy. Not to mention that there's a wide variety of them, although most seem like they're not native Japanese and just Westerners who end up in Japan one way or another. But yeah, we're not done yet since there are two more village NPCs to talk about, starting with Hina Nakamura. As mentioned before, Hina is Sebastian's mother. She is born and raised in Sunnyside but spent most of her 20s making a name for herself as a famous chef all across Japan. She and her husband decided to settle down in her hometown when Seb was born, and she opened a small restaurant. The family was happy and successful for a time, but as Hina got older, her health started taking a turn for the worse. She can often be found in the cafe still working or wandering around town trying to find something to do with her newfound free time. The thing about Hina though is that it's not yet been confirmed whether she is just an ordinary village NPC or if she is actually romanceable, which is quite honestly interesting. Lastly on our current list of villagers is Sparky. There really isn't much info yet on Sparky, but what is confirmed is that he will be our character's companion in the game and he plays a major role in the storyline. Sparky is a relatively small flying robot. He has a red and white color scheme, a LED screen that serves as his eyes to express himself, pointy ears, a dot nose, and 3 whiskers on each side, and a propeller on his backside that resembles 9 tails. There isn't a full-body portrait of Sparky just yet, so that's something to look forward to in the full release of the game. Now, there are other characters whose bios and portraits haven't been released yet, like Chiyo Ishikawa, who is Kazuki's wife, for instance. So I can't really say that this is the full list of characters in Sunnyside. So, have you already picked a favorite from the list and descriptions of the characters provided? Did you find anyone interesting? I personally hope that this video gave you all some insight on what to expect when it comes to the NPCs we will be encountering once the full game comes out, and that this video made you that much more excited to meet them all as it made me feel. Again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, you guys know the drill. Dream on, fly on. Bye bye for now. Keep safe, everyone.
Someday we'll have a last conversation, drink our last cup of coffee. Someday we might